Okay, so if everyone can just take their... I know you guys are all already sitting down. I'm just waiting for anyone else who's out there to come in so we can get started. Thank you so very much for being here. If you've been here for the other three talks, then I apologize because you're going to hear my spiel again for the fourth time. But if you're just joining us, welcome. My name is Bella Naiman. I'm the founder of New York City Jewelry Week. Welcome to day 2 of our 8th annual jewelry marathon. We have approximately 140 events taking place over the course of this week. Also a virtual component on our dedicated NYCJW YouTube channel, which I hope you will enjoy in the days and months to come. And there are also still programs for you to sign up for on our website. The talks at MAD have become our keystone event, and we would not be able to do this without our sponsors, whose name you will see flash before your eyes, probably at the next slide. A huge thanks to the Museum of Arts and Design for once again being our official museum partner. The theme for this year's program is called Art Worn. From fine and costume jewelry to contemporary art jewelry, we've examined how artistic intent informs the creation of adornment. So we had 3 great panels, which we are recording. So if you missed any of them, you can also enjoy them in December. But this one I'm really excited about, and I'm actually pulling double duty, both as the MC, but also as the moderator. And this program is called A Jeweler's Palette, Anything Goes, featuring Marla Aaron, Jiro Kamata, and Stephanie Wang of Sauer. And we're going to be exploring how artists are redefining jewelry through unexpected materials, experimental techniques, and bold conceptual design. And I'd love for you to all join me in a big round of applause to welcome our panelists to the stage. Thank you so much. So as I said to all of them when we did our prep call, I didn't want to invite another moderator to host this conversation because I am a huge fan of all of their work, and I've known about it. Marla has been one of our first supporters of New York City Jewelry Week. I remember speaking to you about it, 8 years ago. Stephanie and Sauer, I've been following your work for so long, and just really admire how beautiful it is and how innovative. And Jiro, I probably knew about your work even before Jewelry Week existed. So, it's really such an honor to be here with all of you. So my first question is, if you can all, and I didn't read your bios because I would love it if you can all speak a little bit about your work, just to give our audience a bit of an introduction if they're not familiar, or if they are, just even more insight about what you all do. So if you can just briefly tell us about your work, if you want to start, Jiro.
Do you hear me? No?
Let's see.
Now. So, hi, everyone. My name is Jiro Kamata. I'm Japanese and studied jewelry in Munich, and I'm based now also in Munich. I'm making the jewelry field of the contemporary jewelry, which is actually more the direction about making art. And my jewelry is based mainly with used camera lenses. So everybody knows camera lenses, but I use camera lens the main part of my creation. And camera lens is for me kind of container, what you can put your moments or your time, and also of course the memory, because I use also old camera lenses. Someone already took the picture, so some moments and memory inside, and I think this is quite valuable. Therefore, I use camera lens to create my jewelry. Yeah.
Thank you. And you're wearing one too. So
yes, exactly. This is one example of the pin. used camera lens. Yeah.
So I'm Stephanie Vank. I'm the creative director for Sour. Sour is a heritage brand from Brazil. We are turning 85 years old next year. And everything that we make is based on art, spirituality, and nature. So all of the collections, they hold on to these three pillars. And as a heritage brand, I don't think that restrains us in any way. It's more like a starting point. And every piece that we make, I think it holds in between past, present, and future. We are a contemporary brand, and we want to make jewelry that speaks with the time that we live in right now.
My name is Marla Aaron, and I design Marla Aaron Jewelry. It's a company that started 13 years ago. I am not a classically trained jeweler. We make locks and chains and functional jewelry way beyond that. What started with one lock is now an entire collection of pieces that are designed to help you do more with your jewelry. We work in gold, silver, platinum, brass. Now we work in porcelain, Dyneema, rubber, rocks, you name it. We are trying to expand the vernacular of what precious really means, and we know that precious means a lot of different things to people who wear jewelry. So that's us.
So that's a perfect segue into our second question, actually, because one of the reasons that I invited all of you to be part of this panel is that you work with materials in a really interesting way. So, Jiro, you introduced your work, and you work with one material in particular, Sour, a company that is so steeped in working with, natural stones that are natural to Brazil. Marla, your vocabulary, as you just mentioned, of materials use has really broadened. So can you all talk a little bit about the materials that you work with and how they guide your process for creation?
So I start? Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I can a little bit talk about how I started to use a camera lens, because I come originally from a jewelry family. From Japan, so my family business is jewelry, and my brother took over the business. Now he do his business much bigger now, and a new shop is also in Manhattan. So, but I went to the different way, so I'm a little bit outsider from the fine jewelry direction. But anyway, so and then. Of course, I know the jewelry which is made by gold and gemstone and with expensive materials. But when I started to make jewelry, or my own jewelry, I started to search about my own language and also my own value. And but because of my family business, I wanted to make something totally different way. I wanted to find my own value compared to my family business. So, and then one day I was invited in the artist in residence, and I had a great opportunity to find or to get the idea to use a camera lens. And so for me, this camera lens is of course compare like a little with gemstone, and to it's not fighting, but it's kind of very related with my own background. So it was, and then when I started to use a camera lens and with reflection and deepness and transparency and so on, I was very, very satisfied to find this material. Yeah.
We are very drawn to the curiosity of materials in our collections, and we listen to the material as well, what it can be. Everything is like a guide to the design. Either it's the weight, the texture, the light, even imperfection of a material guide what it can be. If it's something that is very heavy, maybe you're not going to make some earrings, but you can do pendants. And they really allow us to tell the history of the collection. For instance, we did a collection inspired in Italy, so we used ancient Roman coins, we used Murano glass beads, techniques from the Renaissance era. So the materials, they build a dialogue and they bring depthness to the collection. So it's something we also like to mix more like humble materials with like precious materials and how they're going to act upon each other. So it's very much about the materials for us and what we can do with them.
I would say that I love also the mix of humble and precious materials. I find that very inspiring. But the way I feel that we end up working with new materials is a combination of need and obsession. So I'm going to talk about obsession first, which is our latest project with Nymphenburg. I had discovered Nymphenburg many, many years ago and really became obsessed with this over 300-year-old porcelain company that was still hand painting their porcelain. And it felt so precious to me. It felt like jewelry. And I really couldn't get them out of my mind or just the work. And I ended up going to Munich and visiting Nymphenburg and seeing the way the material was treated. And when I left, I was struck with the idea that we had to turn the porcelain into jewelry. And not just any porcelain, we had to turn the most celebrated pattern of the Nymphenburg house into fine jewelry so more people could experience it, which was how the collection was born. Now, it's not just as easy as snapping your fingers. Bringing porcelain and gold together is very, very challenging. But we were able to do it with a lock, an earring, which I'm wearing, and a bracelet, and we made one object. And it's all hand. And the work between the two companies, our company and Nymphenburg, took over 2 years, but I guess it took me like 7 years to figure out what I was actually gonna do with it. So I guess I would call that obsession. And then need, we began working with a material called Dyneema many years ago because I had heard about it. It's the world's strongest fiber, and it's mostly used for medical applications, mountaineering, bulletproof vests. And I realized that this material was the perfect replacement for leather, which is an organic material which always breaks when combined with gold. And that's how we ended up making Dyneema strings, which I'm also wearing, which is called our string project, which we make in many, many ways. So this idea of need and obsession drive the business and drive new material usage.
Thank you so much for that. It's a perfect segue to my next question. It's like we rehearsed or something.
A little bit.
But so obviously, you all work with an incredible range of materials, and even in terms of cameras, you work with different types of lenses. But you all make it sound so easy, but it's not. Right. I think anybody in this room who, whether you're a designer yourself or you admire jewelry, obviously there's this recognition that, from your hands to our bodies, there's so much research, so much, both sort of inspiration, but also hands-on, right? Making sure that you have the craftsmen to create these pieces, making sure you have the tools to create these pieces. So how do you transform the materials that you work with to be jewelry appropriate, essentially? Whoever wants to go first, Stephanie, if you want to take this one first, or...
Oh, it's always a long process to work with this unusual materials, and especially if you're using it for the first time. But we do a lot of tests, cutting, polishing, sometimes even like throwing on the floor to see if it's resistant. And in the process, things change. You have to sometimes make concessions and change the design a little bit. Sometimes it's even for the better, but sometimes you do make some concessions along the way. But usually we tend to arrive in places that we're happy with it. But that's it. When you're using this kind of materials, unusual, you have to, the process is longer. It takes more time, and it's a lot of like failing, understanding, thinking about, and there's a lot of people that are thinking about making one piece of jewelry. It's like a whole team, and it really takes a village to make a piece of jewelry. So there's like a lot of layers that you don't see when you see a finished product, a finished piece of jewelry, the amount of work and tests and all of that. And sometimes we achieve, sometimes we have to let some ideas stand for a while, but that's it. But in the end, it's worth it.
One of your collections featured river pebbles. Can you speak to that? Because that is so incredibly unusual.
Yes, it was the Ma collection, and resonated a lot with the whole concept of Japan, of something that the time was making that to the stone, and then we paired with diamonds. Also, we work a lot with wood. I really like wood. It's something that also ages with time. We have used it in many collections. So the color changes, the texture changes. Just like us, we are also aging, and I find that beautiful, adds more character to the piece. I find it like very poetical, and we embrace those changes as being more beautiful, as something that is like brand new.
Yeah. Marla, I know for you, wearability is everything. That's the ethos of the brand.
Yes, that wearability is everything, but also this idea. I also, something you said made me think of the fact that, you know, we work with gold and silver and platinum and very traditional materials too, but because we're making functional jewelry, we're used to the constant, I hate to say it, failure. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a lot of failure that gets to a perfect piece. So I think it kind of set us up for success to try playing with other materials, because we were used to it, because we know making functional jewelry is really hard, even if it is gold or platinum or silver or brass. So, you know, why not porcelain? It's going to be hard, we know, you know.
You need to give me some tips on that, because I'm currently working.
Walk away. No.
But I think so for me it's very important. So I use camera lens, but I think every material, if you want to make with jewelry, then you need transforming. For example, so I use a camera lens, but if it looks like transparent camera lens, and it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So I need something people think, wow, what is this? And this kind of transforming, it's definitely, I think, important. And also the definition about the material. The camera lens is, of course, taking the picture, and the light comes through this function. But in my jewelry, this function actually doesn't work, because it's not no more camera lens function. So it's as jewelry, the definition of the material I changed. So this is also, for me, is very important if you use something different material to make jewelry.
Can you talk a little bit about the different ways in which you transform the material? Because you alter the camera lens.
Yes, exactly. Actually, the shape in it is I didn't anything. The shape I take the camera lens is totally original shape. I didn't fire it. I didn't polish it, anything. But I use a special coating technique called PVD coating, which makes amazing color and also the reflection. And the coating comes behind of the camera lens. Therefore, the lens is any more transparent. But instead of that, they get a brilliant reflection to outside. So, and then it makes sense for me. It's now I awake the material to jewelry.
One of the things that I think is also really important is that to be able to play with alternative materials or to bring, all of these non-traditional materials into your work, you obviously have to have incredible craftsmen who understand what it's like, first of all, to make also, I think, traditional pieces as well, because I know that, while you do work with camera lenses, gold is also very much a part of your work. But I think in a way you to be able to subvert something, you need to know how to work with things that are also, I think, a bit more traditional. You need to have that know-how and that skill level. So can you talk a little bit about, sort of the hands and what is that innovation, if you feel comfortable sharing, for you especially, or to create these pieces that are, I love that you said, the lenses are the gem, but what is it what are the tools that you're using? What's on your workbench for you to?
Actually, I say always, I'm artist, but I'm also goldsmith. So I also trained really the traditional technique as a goldsmith. And my piece is always actually using or combine together silver or gold. And using the traditional technique. So this is also the behind, or the frame is made by gold, by silver. And you need the highly precision of the craftsmanship, which is not front of my piece, but it's super important to keep this precision and also the high level of the finishing and small details to care everything. And without this part of the finishing, it doesn't work with my work, because it's very actually simple, and but people see that, so it's there. The people put the value of the craftsmanship in my work, I think.
So I definitely want to come back to this word value, but Marla, I just wanted to ask you, because now you're working with rubber, and the locks that you've been making that are incredibly beautiful, silver, gold, are now in rubber. So again, it's a humble material, but incredibly challenging to make a lock in rubber. That's functional and beautiful.
Yeah. It's super challenging. It takes a lot of time to get it right and to find someone that is going to work with you and be curious enough to want to work with you. I would say with the craftspeople that we work with across all the materials that we work with, the most important thing is the curiosity and the interest. You must have an open mind, especially when, I show up with a giant piece of Fordite and say, I think we can really make some fun things with this. I mean, you have to have a sense of curiosity. I mean, one of my favorite relics from the Nymphenburg project is this page of all the Post-it note questions that all the craftsmen and the jewelers had, that they wanted me to go back to Nymphenburg and ask them about. What is the temperature at this? What is the temperature of the glazing? What is the temperature of the firing? What is the temperature of the painting? All of these, so all these Post-it notes are covering it. And I think that's the most important thing. And it's baby steps, and it's, again, a lot of mistakes. Mistakes fuel excellence, I would say, in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. Stephanie, would you like to add something to that as well?
I think it's a lot of mistakes, problem solving the entire day. When you think you got this, then there's another thing. But yes, different materials, they require different techniques, and it's a lot of time that you have to put into getting it right, and it's a lot of people working together. And it's completely different when you're working with ceramics, with wood, with glass. So it's you have to gain that knowledge, and you gain that through trying, failing, doing it again, and just being very persistent.
Yeah. Jiro, I remember you said the same, that the problems
I love problems. Of course, it's very annoying at the time, super annoying, and you ask, why? Why again, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you are very, very motivated if you have the problem in front of you, and you are so motivated, and then to figure out what kind of solution you can get, and then you try, and if you can't from the straight direction, then you have to go around and back to them, and so through this process, you reach really a fantastic piece, the end, I think. Without problem, it's actually boring.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's
probably not a great piece.
Yeah. I think that's life in general, right? I think sometimes you're like, well, I don't know if I needed to go through that experience, but it made me stronger. So it's probably jewelry is the same way. And actually, Marla, I think you also had said that, that there's so much, when you develop a new piece with materials, like you all wear it on your team, just to sort of see that, you know, before you put it out there for your clients, that you've kind of thought about all the problems or how it would wear. And
Yeah, definitely. A lot of wear testing goes on to determine if it's going to be, it's going to go or not. And, you know, the team gives very, very honest feedback. There are a lot of, you know, broken pieces that come back to us, and we're like, okay, we need to keep working. Yeah. I mean, I am currently wear testing. I see a few people on the team here who are wear testing pieces right now.
Yeah.
That we haven't launched yet. So.
So you might be getting a sneak peek of a new Marla Aaron piece if you look closely out at your neighbor sitting next to you. So we mentioned value. That has come up a couple of times. And for me, the value in what you all do is united by craftsmanship and the handwork especially. How do you all define value? You mentioned, you know, the camera for you is a gemstone.
Yeah. But I think in general, the value, before I talk about value, you have to, or I have to fall in love the material. So this is kind of very simple feeling. It's also same like love story. If you fall in love to person, then you don't know why, but you love him or her. And in my case, this is also same with material. If I fall in love with one material, in my case was camera lens, was very strong love, and then at the time I didn't know why, but I was so fascinated to this material, and I started to communicate, and through this relationship with material, it happens this kind of course, motivation, but I would like to say this is very valuable moment. Yeah.
I love that. So I was going to ask you both then, is there a material that you've both have fallen in love with that maybe either your teams have said, no, fall out of love with it, we're not doing anything about this? Or is there a material that you, I mean, obviously you fall in love with the porcelain and, you know, you work with so many different materials, but is there a material that you've like sort of fallen in love with and both stayed away from it because maybe, you know, it's not possible, or maybe just the opposite, you're like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna make this possible?
I would say that there are things that I want to do with materials that we're already working with that have not worked out, that I'm not giving up hope on yet. And then there are materials that we've pursued that I don't think we've figured out how we're going to work with them yet, that I'm fascinated with. I would say aluminum is one of those materials. Like there's a lot of materials that I'm extremely and then there's materials that are just very one-off and quick, but that are just so amazing. We made a lock out of the London bricks because, again, obsession. I love the bricks of London. I love the story of the bricks of London, the rebuilding of London, how different they all are. And we decided to make a lock made out of the different bricks of London, like actual bricks. So that was very...
How did you... How is that even possible?
How did we get the bricks?
How did you get the bricks?
You can't ask that. I can't answer that. I did not personally gather the bricks.
Yes, okay.
I'm above board. But
wow.
Yeah,
it's incredible. Stephanie, what about you?
Yes, I don't think so. Maybe we had to make some concessions on the way that we wanted to use the material, but I can't think of anything right now that we really wanted to use and then we were not able to use it. But there are so many materials that we still want to explore, and there's so many things. and yeah, maybe.
No, you're working with incredibly talented people, so it makes sense. All right, so to go back to this question of value, which is sort of my initial question, but then when you said falling in love, I went off on a tangent. How do you, so sort of, I guess, what does value mean to you? And like, also, what are the conversations that you're having with your clients and collectors? Because, you know, they like, yeah, what are those conversations and what does value mean to you?
I would say that we have a very egalitarian approach to fine jewelry, and this is extremely important to me. We fight very, very hard. If we make something really beautiful in gold and functional, we fight very hard to try and bring it into the world in silver too, which is a challenge when they're functional pieces. So that is something that is always top of mind. If we can do it in gold, if we can do it in platinum, let's try and make it in silver. Now let's try and make it in rubber. And I think it may not be sexy to talk about that, but I believe that jewelry's only job is to bring people joy, and I want a lot of people to be able to experience the joy of well-made fine jewelry. And I also think that people wear jewelry, you know, they wear what they love. If something is defined as precious to someone, it doesn't matter if it's a piece of string or if it's a piece of gold, like they're going to wear it. And I think that is poetic, and that's what makes jewelry so special and so intimate.
Yeah, thank you. It's beautiful.
I think for us, value is not only the rarity of a gem, the preciousness of a metal. So we try to educate also our clients, sharing stories about the material, how the craft, everything that goes behind, so we can build these dialogues. And I feel like beauty is something that you feel, and our role is to open that spectrum for our client to perceive beauty in value in different ways.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I actually want to go back to that idea too, just how you all see beauty by incorporating different materials into your work. But Marla, you also just said something that made me think about your work with Nymphenburg, because you had said that you wanted to also make Nymphenburg more accessible to everyone. Can you talk about that?
Well, a service of 12 of the Cumberland pattern with all of these serving pieces costs about $300,000, which is a lot of money for a place setting, and also extremely, an extremely small amount of people in the world will have something like that. So by bringing this Nymphenburg project, these 4 pieces out into the world, we are allowing more people to experience this notion of hand-painted jewelry and how of hand-painted porcelain and how very special that is. And it doesn't have to die. If these things become too rarefied in the world, then they will disappear. And I think that really motivates me a lot with a lot of the things we do, with using hand engraving in our work, with just a lot of the elements of jewelry or of craft. If they become too rarefied, they will disappear. And I think that's very important. So Yeah, no, absolutely. And Stephanie, you're doing something similar with your latest collection of Francisco Bernon's work. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, we did this collaboration with this Brazilian artist from Northeast Brazil. He's a sculptor, painter, but his very large body of work. But he's very well known for his sculptures, very large size. And we were very happy they invited us to do this collaboration and to be able to work with the atelier. We have never worked with ceramics before, so that was something that really got us very, very, very excited. And it was super challenging because they were not used to the scale of jewelry. It's something very different from a giant sculpture, so it was a lot of back and forth, and we will work closely with them, and also to translate in his universe all of the symbolism into the jewelry, this like wearable sculptures. But we were very happy and pleased with the result. We always like, when we have a project like that, there's a lot of respect going into this kind of legacies, and he's like a very, very well-known artist in Brazil. So we are also like very flattered that they chose us to do this collaboration.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We just had some images as you were talking about it actually in the background. And Jiro, you just had a similar experience where you were scaling up. So can you talk a little bit about that as well?
So since, I don't know, a few years ago, I started to make also object. And it was started together working with Ornamentum Gallery in New York and making something special piece for Design Miami, which comes also in 2 weeks in Miami. And the first one was marijuana pipe, actually, at the time, which was a very hot to talk about the marijuana in US.
This was a post-pandemic, I remember, exhibition.
Exactly,
they did at Design Miami focusing. They invited their artists to create marijuana pipes.
Exactly. And I was very confusing because I'm not smoker of the marijuana and who need it. So it was the point. But I made it.
Different types of experimentation. Okay.
But I made it, but it is made of silver. It's a quite huge piece. So it's like big pipe. So and with 1 kilo silver, and with many lenses around it, and I finished it. And but the process was huge problems. Only the problems, because I never had the experience. But I enjoyed totally at the time with my team because it was very fresh. I know how it works with jewelry because of my 20 years experience or 30 years. But I never did it this kind of scale with silver, and then the feeling was like teenager, and making just fun to make something, and because of the problems. Yeah. But the end, I made it, and I was not sure who needed it.
Listen, I think we can all agree that there's someone out there who needs,
But the end was a great, because the Toledo Museum bought it, so it was now is a museum's collection. So actually, this kind of surprise is also there. If you to challenge something, do that you never did it before. So it's always a challenge. And now the scale is bigger and bigger and bigger. And maybe one picture you see is one, I think, the one wall piece was a few years ago. And now I create 3x3 meter. Is a one biggest wall piece we'll show in Miami. So it's great feeling to have like one sword and second, so right hand sword, left hand sword. It's nice. Yeah,
absolutely. Is there material that you haven't worked with? Is there material you'd like to work with?
Yeah.
What would that be?
Well, it's also the actually how can I say development with the camera ones. Mm-hmm. So it's still same material, but in the different scale.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, and Jiro, you just brought up Design Miami. One of the things that I also really admire about your work is that you all find really interesting ways to show your work. You both have beautiful ad campaigns that are incredibly thoughtful. Marla, you've made a basketball net with chains. Can you talk about that? I know you are very supportive of different art initiatives, and Sauer gives out a prize. Can you talk about that as well? Because I think your creativity and for also sort of how you want to see your jewelry displayed is really interesting as well.
The basketball hoop?
Yeah.
I think you just have to have a sense of fun. I don't ever think about them as campaigns. I think about them as ideas that we're pursuing. I think that's really it. I love seeing the jewelry work, at work. So I think that was one of the reasons that the basketball hoop makes sense. We actually made a basketball hoop out of brass. It's beautiful, and it has these gorgeous gem quality Akoya pearls on it right now. So It's really fun. But I think...
And your vending machine.
And our vending machine. The vending machine is different. The vending machine is really this notion of wanting... I was very inspired by Japan with the vending machine, with doing the vending machine. I had seen vending machines in Japan that sell all manner of items. And I said, why shouldn't vending machines sell our jewelry? And that's how that sort of odyssey began of the vending machine. And we're going to keep going with it. I think jewelry can be sold in unlikely places. You know, I think the traditional jewelry store, it's less interesting than other environments where jewelry can be sold. And selling jewelry in non-traditional ways or providing an opportunity to experience jewelry in non-traditional ways is very important to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we show our collections a lot in art fairs, galleries, and it's something that was not like any strategy. It's something that happened like very naturally. Like we've been doing collaborations with artists, with support institutions, and then we have a lot of like our clients that are like collectors as well. They are curators, they are gallery owners, artists. So we're kind of like, it was part of our scene, our world, our orbit. So it was like a natural thing for us to showcase our collections in this environment. And I feel that also like there's a broader cultural landscape when you're presenting the jewelry in these spaces. You build dialogue around it. And also jewelry, they are works of art. They are works of art that you wear it and the body is the support for them. So why not show them in art fairs and art galleries?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. So that actually leads me to my last question, because I do want to open it up to the audience. But how do you educate your collectors or your clients about all of the different materials that you are incorporating into your work? Or how do you introduce the materials that you work with specifically to your clients? I'd love to just sort of know about what these conversations are, because I think education also is such a big part of what we all do, actually. Who wants to take it first? Go ahead.
So in my case, it's maybe a little bit different because I'm artist, so I make jewelry, and the selling or telling people is the job of gallerist. Mm-hmm. So we split the job.
I'm sure you're happy to split that job.
And I'm quite happy. Yeah. But still, of course, if I have a solo exhibition there, I will be there in the present, and I tell the people. But I think, still, how can I say? If I think to start a little bit more selling, or just I say easy wearing jewelry, and then I thought maybe this is more acceptable to people, but it's actually not. So the people see that, hey, maybe Jiro, you made this time just more easy wearing jewelry like that. So it was not really expected from the outside. And I also had a experience. I made a necklace with 1 kilo heavy, big necklace, and I thought who wear it? Mm-hmm. And then it's quick sold like that. So this kind of experience, it's always very interesting.
So you're saying, like, if people assume if you make something that's sort of like more quote unquote simpler, you're making things that are more accessible, if you will. That's what you mean. Yeah. And what's wrong with that?
Yeah. I mean, no. I mean, this is very difficult, or not easy to think about from the customer side what they actually expected to me, and if I think too much about that, this is also not good.
Yeah, you have to focus on making the work and allowing the work to speak for itself. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
When I started the company, I didn't really know how to get the jewelry into the hands of people, because I didn't know the traditional way that happened in the jewelry world. So it sort of coincided with the rise of social media. So I kind of began this conversation with our customers on social media, and it continues today. So my very best way to educate our customers about what we're doing, what we're thinking about in terms of jewelry is social media, and I have that dialogue with them there. And I think that has helped us. You know, ignorance is bliss. I didn't know. So there we kind of created this universe where they understand that this is where I'm going to explain to them about new materials. This is where we're going to show them how to wear the jewelry that may not look like jewelry, because we have those things happening too. And that's where the dialogue happens. And then I have to count on our retail partners around the world to help us tell that story too.
Yeah.
I feel our clients nowadays, they expect us to bring different things that they haven't seen before, the uniqueness, the creativity. So they want that, and they are expecting that from us. But we always share the history behind the origins of the materials, why we are using this, and why on this collection, all the poetry, everything that adds to the history. We're always educating them, and they're very drawn to that.
Yeah, yeah. And both you, Stephanie, and Marla, you have a presence in New York. And Ornamentum is here during Jewelry Week. They're showing for 2 days. Stephanie, you have a beautiful store in Madison Avenue that opened last year. And Marla, you're in the Diamond District. You have one of the most beautiful spaces, I think, in the Diamond District. It's full of joy. It really is. It is. Yeah. So you can all go visit them. So does anyone have any questions for our panelists? Yes, and I'm actually going to hold on. Let's see. I will hand the mic over to you.
Thank you. Hello.
You're wearing parts. Sorry, I'm looking at you.
I am. Each of you have talked about jewelry as being a bit of a group project, it sounds like, from your design collaborators to fellow artists. And I'm wondering how you understand that collaboration continuing when buyers and collectors get a hold of the jewelry and they start wearing it, combining pieces, and the context changes sometimes. I'm just wondering how your practice is influenced by the understanding of your jewelry and the way that people wear it.
I can speak to that. Hi, Gage. It's enormously influential, I would say, for me personally. Seeing how our customers wear our jewelry is a very powerful thing that happens, and it informs a lot of the way I think about what we make. So it's an ongoing dialogue. 100%, at least for me, that's how I see it. It's very influential for negative and positive. Mostly positive, but it influences me a lot.
Does anybody else want to answer that question? No.
Shy.
Okay. Yes, I'm gonna walk over to you.
Hello, thank you all so much for getting to hear all of your incredible insight. This question can be answered by anyone, but I'm also particularly pitching it to Marla because I love jewelry boxes, and I so see your work with jewelry boxes as an extension of your jewelry work. And so I'm curious, I think typically, we assume that collectors probably have more jewelry than they do jewelry boxes. And so I'm curious if that kind of implied variety and multiplicity influences the materials that you use or don't use for your jewelry boxes. Does that make sense?
I'm not sure I understand, but we do make jewelry. We make a variety of receptacles for jewelry. Some are wood. One is a vegan leather, brass, porcelain, We know people are taking off their jewelry in all kinds of places, and we would like to put a place for that jewelry for people. I don't know if I'm answering that well.
You are. Thank you.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else wanted to. If not, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And then I will over to there too. It's a bit difficult for me to stand. I have my coat in my bag on my lap. Thank you for being here. My question is, you started to talk about innovation and retailing. For people with a creative background, that's sort of the place where we shudder, like, it's fun to make the jewelry, it's good to be inspired and to be artistic, and then to make that thrive as a business in this day where retailing is either going through a rebirth or a death, whichever way you want to look at it. You've touched upon innovation. Can you expand on the kinds of innovation you're seeing or the future of retailing to make those sell-throughs really happen?
Who wants to take that question? It's a tough one.
Who is it for?
Do you mean, like, are you a, do you mean, oh, do you have a particular, who would you like, or
Anyone.
Anyone, okay.
Has any views on innovation or has a vision of their own? You touched upon it earlier. Different ways to sell, not so much the old way anymore.
Well, I think in a way the innovation like that Marla was speaking to is really even using social media in the sense and really being very direct with your consumer and speaking directly to them. And then I think also finding ways to not go necessarily like if you're an independent designer, finding innovative ways to sell your work that perhaps not, working with one retailer, but maybe using a platform like New York City Jewelry Week and creating an event that would bring a new audience to you. So I think in that sense, or, there's also different festivals even outside of, New York, whether it's a craft fair. So I think in that sense, there are ways to have a presence if you're an independent designer.
I would think that maybe the environment in which one sells is changing. That is not just walking into a store with cases of jewelry, that maybe there's something else happening. It seems like it's either on the verge or already happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of, even like clothing stores and galleries and that are also museum shops that also carry jewelry. So it gives you an opportunity to draw a different audience as well. Yeah, and there was a question back here. I think we have time for maybe one more. I'm going to pass the mic.
I could just project.
Yes, you can.
Three amazing panelists. Thank you so much. It's a beautiful jewelry. I did have a question about PVD process. That's a really smart application of PVD. The camera lens seems rather difficult to evenly coat. And I'm just curious about what's your process? How many camera lenses do you have to coat before you've got one ready for a project? Are you going through vintage cameras and pulling them apart and sending a bunch to the PVD people? How does it work?
I have a huge collection of the used camera lens in my studio. And until now, maybe more than 1,000 lenses. I opened it, so it is. I buy the used camera lens for the Spiegelreflex. How you say in English? The big lens for the mirror.
Telescopic.
Telescopic.
Yeah. So and if you open it, and it's different lenses inside in the lens, and I spend maybe I do this lens open action, do that twice a year, and then maybe altogether, I don't know, maybe 500 lenses pieces I ship to the coating company, and I choose the colors, but actually you can't really choose the color because it's always a little bit different, and maybe from that 30% I can't use because it's the process is quite complicated, and maybe 70% I can use other lenses. It's mistakes inside and so on, and then the final reflection or colors I see, and then start to think about what kind of jewelry I should make and so on. Yeah, is that answer? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and I think there was. Oh, okay. One more question. This might be our.
Hi, I've known you for a long time, but I never asked you this. Did you start out as a photographer, or do you also use a camera for photography?
Well, I'm not a photographer. I love to take pictures. So so my passion was big to take a picture and to take a picture, and also my dream maybe to be in future to make an exhibition with my photography. But who knows, right? Who knows? So, but until now, I'm not a professional photographer. But your question was that? Yeah.
You also use the camera lens in the traditional way of taking photographs.
Traditional way to taking the photograph.
Do you photograph your own jewelry?
Yeah, exactly. So the archive, all my archive, I take myself the picture for my work. Yeah. So those pictures that you see is all taking my own. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you. This is a group of speakers who inspire me endlessly. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you.